Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. I want to welcome our listeners from the Jackson metro area and the Mississippi Delta, along with those in coastal Mississippi, as we continue to celebrate the amazing people who are working so hard to make Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. You know, if you look at the leadership that has emerged here in coastal Mississippi, really across the state of Mississippi, as a result of legalizing gaming here, it's pretty darn significant. I mean, first of all, you got to think about what casinos have done in terms of massive investments in the industry. It's spurred economic growth, obviously, not just in coastal Mississippi, but again, across the state. They also brought some incredible leaders to Mississippi. These folks are smart and experienced and strategic and community-minded, and they have played a real significant role as they think through what are their strategic investments going to be, what are the business development initiatives that they're going to launch. And the reason they think this way is because the competition in Mississippi and around the country is very significant. So casinos are constantly thinking about how they can raise the bar. And man, have they raised the bar. If you look back over the past 25 years, it's incredible. They've been very instrumental, these leaders, in developing workforce, thriving workforce. Not just in Mississippi, not just in coastal Mississippi, but across the state. You're talking about more than 16,000 jobs created directly related to the casino industry, not counting all the ancillary jobs that are not direct. For example, linen and food and beverages and liquor and printing and other hotels and motels. I mean, just think about it. It's very, very significant. And they've continued to make really significant improvements in their infrastructure, the amenities that they offer, and the overall quality of the experience they want visitors to have when they come to coastal Mississippi. Because, again, the competition in America is intense. Over 1,000 casinos now in America. So these leaders are not just good leaders, but they're also master marketers. They work their tails off every single day, bringing people from near and far, and promoting Mississippi as a premier destination for tourists. And they do it with smart, cutting-edge marketing promotional efforts. And some, like the Beau Rivage, have led the way in evolving their company's charter plane service, bringing planes strategically from cities across the country. The new casino leaders that have been brought here as a result of the development of casinos has encouraged a culture of philanthropy. I mean, you think about the work that they've done in the community to help fill gaps, the gaps that I talk about on the show all the time. They also foster a sense of community and volunteerism inside their companies. And that's important. It's important to the resiliency of Mississippians. They are also very, very dynamic in terms of this culture of innovation and entrepreneurship that they have created. They lead by example. And they have raised the bar, not just among themselves, but they've raised the bar for all of us across Mississippi as it relates to tourism. And, again, the competition is intense. The Beau Rivage, though, some have actually referred to it as the crown jewel of Mississippi's casino market, has leadership that has been really important, and they have brought great competitive spirit to Mississippi. Its leader currently also has some responsibilities for Gold Strike and Tunica, and has been really busy at the Beau this past year, or actually in this coming year, with enjoying a year-long 25th anniversary celebration. It's been an amazing 25 years. You think back about it. So without any further ado, I want to welcome Brandon Dardeau, who's the president and chief operating officer for MGM Resort Southeast Operations. He's coming to us today from the Beau Rivage in Biloxi, and someone I've been really looking forward to spending some time with. Brandon, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks, Ricky, for the invite. Appreciate it.
So you hear, one of the things that Roland Weeks said to me, this is early on when he was my mentor. He was president publisher of the Sun Herald at the time, and I ultimately became the president after he retired. He said to me, man, you're not going to believe how the bar is going to be raised for leaders who are in coastal Mississippi today as a result of the kind of leadership that's going to be brought to this community. That's true, man. I mean, you think about the experience you guys have brought to this community, there's some serious leadership capacity in coastal Mississippi these days, isn't there?
Absolutely. And I think when you reach out, all the different companies have brought leaders from other places. Some have homegrown. I consider myself kind of a homegrown leader, even though I'm not from here originally. I've been on the coast for 23 years now, so it's home now. And so, my story is a little different than some of my predecessors, but nonetheless, yeah, we've been some great people have come through these projects.
Yeah, we're going to actually talk a little bit about that town of 700 that you came from, where your parents still live. And in Louisiana, and we'll reflect on that for just a bit. But, it seems just like yesterday, this casino mogul that we all knew, this larger-than-life, charismatic, visionary character called Steve Wynn, came to coastal Mississippi. He was a risk taker. One of the major things about him is he was a risk taker. It was a big risk coming here and spending $750 million on this place. And I never will forget the opening commercial of the Beau Rivage with Elizabeth Taylor's Southern drawl voice. And I'll give you a bit of trivia. The house where I'm sitting right now was built on the site of a house that was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. I used to live next door. My family and I rode out Katrina in the house next door. But this house was destroyed by Katrina. We built here, but a scene in that video, the grand opening video for the Beau Rivage, was actually filmed at this house out overlooking Back Bay. So a little bit of trivia, but the Beau Rivage built on the site of the bankrupt Biloxi Bell, and they never looked back. And it's been 25 years, and it is incredible to look back and think of what has been accomplished in 25 years, isn't it?
Yeah. It's funny. That was a VCR tape. I think we grabbed a copy of that recently in our celebration that we had just a few weeks ago. But absolutely, look, Beau at the beginning stages was a big risk. Quite frankly, it struggled in its first few years, considering how much money was spent in trying to create the Gulf Coast as a destination. And so, it took us a long time to get good. And our best years have been these last few. For sure. And so, but it wasn't easy. A lot of hard work. A lot of smart people have tried a lot of different things in this building. Some have worked, some haven't. And obviously, we continue on with the ones that have. And so, it's a great time to be at the Beau right now, for sure.
Yeah, my wife Ann and I were there recently. We came to see Kevin James, and she's a big fan of Kevin James's, and a packed house. And not only in the entertainment area where we went. But also the casino. I mean, there were just people crawling everywhere. It was incredible. It's good to see success in action. But the Beau Rivage has a hell of a story to tell. If you do a search even today on the Beau Rivage, you still see that video of that storm chaser that was, that followed Katrina there and was in the parking garage and filmed the devastation as it happened. An incredible story. And then hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild the Beau Rivage after Katrina. But the market has proven to be very resilient, and we'll go into some of that here in just a second. But let me ask you a quick question. How often do you think about, your path, the risk that you took to leave Louisiana to go to Las Vegas, to get into the casino industry, to come from that small town of 700 to be where you are today? How often do you think about that?
More so now. I've got a 16-year-old daughter now, and to think back what my parents probably must have thought when I was a 22-year-old kid, loading up a vehicle with just a few sets of clothes and not even a trailer. I just went out and really didn't have a job, didn't know what I was going to do, but had visited and knew that I wanted to do something different and at least try it out. When you're young, you can do those kind of things, and so. But what my parents must have thought, probably, coming from a small town in kind of South Central Louisiana, to take that risk. But look, it did pay off. It's, a lot of hard work. It's funny. I tell the story sometime. I got out there and I applied jobs at, many places. And at that time, I was just looking for a job. I really wasn't looking for a career. But nonetheless, MGM happened to be the first place that called me back and ultimately gave me an on-call hourly position to start. And a couple of years in Las Vegas, and wanted to come back south. The credit card companies quit giving me money, so kind of had had to kind of own up and grow up a little bit, if you will. And so I had an opportunity to transfer down to Beau Rivage, which at the time had only been open, a year and a half or so. And quite frankly, they were looking for people that wanted to stay here. There were so many people coming from Las Vegas. They would work here and transfer right back out to Las Vegas. And I was someone with Southern roots and wanted to stay. And, here you go, 23 years later, still associated with the property. So
I came across a great story that was written about you from casinovendors.com when you were promoted to your current position. And the first sentence said, this has been a year or two ago, but it said 22 years, 13 job titles, one company. That's a lot to say, actually, because you think about those in the industry, they tend to bounce around a little bit in the early days of their career. Now, there may be some loyalty later, but the fact that you landed in Las Vegas and went through 13 different jobs and stayed with one company, it's a pretty hell of a story. Hey, when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the Beau Rivage's Brandon Dardeau. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. I have Brandon Dardeau with me today, somebody I've really been looking forward to spending some time with. He's the president and chief operating officer for MGM Resorts Southeast Operations, and essentially has responsibilities for Gold Strike and the Beau Rivage. He's coming to us from the Beau Rivage. We're going to talk a lot and just a bit about the 25th anniversary. But I want to come back to this headline that I read, or this first sentence that I read before we went to the break. It essentially talked about how you had been with one company for all of your career, and for, at the time, 22 years, now 23, 24 years, something like that, 13 job titles. When you go and look at what you did, though, it reminds me a lot of my career as I worked in every area of the Sun Herald, eventually had the opportunity to lead strategic planning for the parent company for Knight Ridder, for the Sun Herald. But just kind of building this base, this foundation. When you came to the Beau Rivage, you were involved heavily in the charter service. You think about, you guys happen to be in the casino industry, but what you really are in is the marketing business. You are truly master marketers. And the opportunity that you've had to sort of build that understanding during your career has been incredibly important to you in your current role, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. We are a marketing engine, but at the core, we're still an operator. And the operations is, where the rubber meets the road is guest and employee interaction. And you can have great marketing programs. We've seen that from other companies, not necessarily just gaming companies, with these great ads and great campaigns. But if the story doesn't meet when the rubber meets the road, and it won't work. And so I think that's what we've been able to accomplish here. We have, that Southern hospitality. We've been able to pair that with bringing customers. You talk about the charter program from all around the country. And, when we bring somebody here from Chicago or New York or Pennsylvania, it's truly a partnership and a connection between community, employee, and customer. It's easy to get them to come back. Sometimes those customers from those other areas think Mississippi riverboat, right? Because we were obviously early in the gaming jurisdiction world. We were early adopters, as our state was. But once we get over that hurdle and we can get them here and see what the Gulf Coast has to offer, particularly what this property has to offer, it makes it easy to get them to come back. And Ricky, just one correction I'll make from you. So Gold Strike, it was a property that I used to oversee.
Okay.
We sold that property not too long ago. I've did a couple of stints up there where I was doing Beau and Gold Strike work. So I actually lived in Olive Branch up there, but we did sell that property about a year ago now. So I just wanted to.
Why it's interesting, because that's not in the information that I have, but I do remember that now. And even when I said it, I almost asked you about that at the beginning of the show, because I do remember that now. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. So we can definitely focus for sure, which is what this show is all about anyway. Today is 25th anniversary of the Beau Rivage. But man, when you think about the challenges the Beau had to get to the point where you're at today, where you're really in so many ways trying to exceed people's expectations. And when you got as many employees as you have, the point that you were making about being a master marketer and a master operational person, to connect the dots between the brand promise and what you're putting out there and delivering on that promise, that takes focus every single day. And you guys have been focused on capital investments and improving room experiences and a wide range of others. We're gonna break some of that down in a minute. But man, you can't ever feel like you've arrived, can you? There's always something that's coming down the road that's going to increase the visitor experience. Something you're thinking about every day, isn't it?
Yeah, look, we look at it. I'm a big sports fan, so I think about it in those terms. And if you're not getting better every day, the whole, even though I'm an LSU fan, I'm a big proponent of Nick Saban, and it's something he preached and did a great job of. I think is even when they were winning championships, he was preaching get better, get better, get better. And I think we've taken that same approach here, and we've got a leadership team that has been here for a long time, and many of them have similar stories to me. We're starting at a frontline job and working their way up, and so a lot of pride in the building. It is a big facility. It is 25 years old now, as you spoke to. So a lot of repairs and maintenance happen, but we do stay very focused on making this place the best that it can be each and every day, both the physical asset, but also the employee and customer experience. It's
literally. I think about this when I talk to leaders at Keesler or the CB base. I often refer to them as kind of the mayor of a city. And, the Beau Rivage is like a city, almost the mayor of a city. It's so big and so intricate and so many moving pieces. And, your point about maintenance and staying on top of that part. I mean, just the physical plant that has to run that building is dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's, way above my head. Obviously, we've got a lot of really smart people that work in that realm. But, yeah, they've done a fantastic job. And, yeah, you go to some of the central plant area and, you can eat off the floor. Those guys do just a fantastic job of keeping everything up and running. And just the knowledge base of, there's so much custom stuff that's in this building. And so just understanding and knowing how that works, we've got, our leaders in that facilities team have, been here 20 plus years as well. So it really is a senior led team from a years of years being with the organization. It really, really is imperative to have a lot of success here to do that.
Hey, so do I remember this right? You had a golf coach who wasn't much older than you that encouraged you to go to Las Vegas, actually. Did I remember that story correctly?
Yeah. So I played small college golf, and I wasn't, I was the 4, 5, 6 guy. So, but good enough to be on the team, good enough to build a relationship. So I had my senior year, I had a coach that had moved here from the West Coast that played at San Jose State. He was young. It was his first head coaching job. And, I was the only one over 21 at the time on our team. So we built a bond. I ended up being his graduate assistant for a year. And he's the one that actually said, hey, you want to go visit some friends in Las Vegas? And, of course, I did, and it was pretty neat to happen to be out there on a fight weekend. And back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that was boxing was the thing in Las Vegas. And so saw that and said, just a small town kid, I said, I want to go experience this. And like you said earlier, 24 years later, look back and obviously glad I made that choice and went out and did that.
So you come back, you come back here. Of course, you'd been here before, but you come back here as a leader of the Beau Rivage, and you have responsibility for Fallen Oaks. I can remember when it was built and the kind of money that was. I mean, you wouldn't be able to spend that kind of money on a golf course today. But the fact that you've got Fallen Oaks today, I remember 35 million or some ridiculous number like that. I don't know if my memory serves me correct, but it would not be an investment you could make today. But the fact that you have it now, this incredible place. That is a nice amenity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because we often say that in our world now, right? To me, really, for any property leader to ask for I think it was 42 million, 45 million back, but it was a long time ago, right? So today's dollars even more. It's a tough ROI for anything like that. But the fact that we have it, we definitely utilize it, and it's helped make, I think, the Gulf Coast. Kind of a guy's weekend destination, if you will. It's a golfer's dream to come down here, and be able to play Fallen Oak and Preserve and Grand Bear and Shell Land. There's a lot of great golf courses. And so we market ourselves that way, where we have, kind of group trips, guys and ladies, to come down and golf and fish, and because we're kind of a unique place. I mean, you go to Las Vegas and play some great golf courses, but you're not going to get on a boat and go out and catch some redfish, right? Where we have that opportunity to kind of do all of that, and so we utilize that and position it that way, and we do have people from all over the country that come down and enjoy those things, right? golf, fishing, and gambling obviously go hand in hand together.
I play golf once a year to remind myself why I don't play, because I hunt and fish and enjoy the outdoors. And if you're going to be a good golfer, you got to play a lot. My granddaughter Riley, she's only 8. She's starting to play now, and she could beat me now. She's that good. Got a beautiful swing. I'll tell you a quick story. I was at a fundraiser at the at Fallen Oaks. I was actually golfing with Haley Barbour, former governor of Mississippi. And I had a decent round, not good, but for me, pretty, not embarrassing, not completely embarrassing. Let me put it that way. 18th hole, had about 70 yards approach, tons of people watching, and I shot it and holed the dang ball in on the, at about 70 yards. And everybody laughed and said, "Wow, what a way to end that round, Ricky." I'll never forget it. And by the way, playing with Haley Barbour is quite an interesting thing. I had the opportunity to have dinner with him and Fazio at the Beau Rivage. I would say not too long after Katrina. And boy, watching Haley and Fazio kind of do their thing, the guy who designed Fallen Oaks, incidentally, for people who don't know the name, it was fascinating watching them tell stories. Very, very
simple. Like that, probably during the Governor's Cup. That was something, big fundraiser that we had for, I believe, Habitat for Humanity. But definitely something they kind of both sponsored. Really, really. And we just reviewed that in our, as our look back for our 25 years, we've highlighted, I know Mary Crackhill very well. She did a phenomenal job just putting together all these pieces of material. And, she put it in a format where we were able to look at it and, kind of shed some tears of happiness, and then also realize, man, 25 years has gone.
I mean, the institutional knowledge that Mary has, and just in terms of historical perspective, has got to be dramatic. And the fact that you guys have focused on the 25th anniversary in such a significant way is, is symbolic of her memory and her experiences, I know. Hey, when we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about the 25th anniversary and why it's important and all the activities that are rolling out of that, this year-long celebration of the Beau Rivage with Brandon Dardeau. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. I have my friend Brandon Dardeau, who is the president and CEO, I guess, the COO of the Beau Rivage. As we pointed out, at one point he did have responsibility for Gold Strike in the Mississippi Delta, but unfortunately, or fortunately, it was sold at about a year ago, and Brandon has complete responsibilities now for the Beau Rivage. And sorry about that mistake earlier in the conversation, my friend. Okay, so the 25th anniversary comes, and what rolls out of that is all kinds of stuff, opportunities to reach out to community partners, this notion of the international brand and your executive leadership team. And, man, you can't do any of this if you don't have a hell of a team around you, can you?
Yeah, and it especially helps to have, a team that's been here for a very long time. I mean, we do have some new leaders. Our VP of marketing, even though he's been here for 15 years, he's hadn't been here quite the entire time. Neither have I. I'm a 23-year, joined, about a year and a half after opening. But yeah, it was a really neat opportunity, I think, to highlight just what the Beau means to the community. Quite frankly, what the Beau means to many customers. I mean, shockingly, we have a lot of customers who have been coming here every year for 25 years. And obviously, over 200 employees that have been here since day one as well. We have 2,700 employees. And so if you think about when we opened, we hired a lot of experienced people. And so some of them, were in their 40s. And so, they're nearing some of those retirement ages as well. So it was just a really neat opportunity, I think, for us to kind of combine all of those three things together. And yeah, the team just did an amazing job. We had a little committee that got together, and the HR side and the marketing side, and just really a lot of creative minds, quite frankly, and came up with a concept that was really, really probably one of the neatest weeks of my career. Obviously, we've had some great things. Reopening after Katrina was obviously very symbolic of the coast coming back, and that march that came up the front drive. I mean, that was a very big moment for the coast, with all employees returning to work. And I don't know if you remember that, Ricky, but it was it was a great time. But this one in particular, right? It was a celebratory time frame where we'd gotten past all the COVID and all of the things that we've dealt with, and really got to focus on the celebration side of things. And so, we did an employee march through the casino where, we had customers standing and giving ovations. We stopped, all the table games stopped and people were figuring, what's going on. And anyway, it was just a really, really neat experience for the employees. And then, we had just an amazing customer event. And then we kind of ended it with a drone show. And I'm not sure if you were able to see that, but it was something I think that we had never done before. I don't think the coast had seen. And so 500 drones that put together just a great show over the back bay. Or I'm sorry, over the back of the Beau Rivage with people out on boats, much like a fireworks show would have been. But we decided to do drones. And so anyway, it was a really, really neat experience, and thousands of people, lined the beaches and got to see it. So anyway, just a really, really, really touching week. But as you said, we're going to be celebrating all year because it is a year anniversary. And so you will see specials in restaurants and drawings and all the different types of things all year. But that week was really something special. It's hard to put into words what it, and I tell, our CEO we had a call with just last week, and he asked me to describe it, and I said, look, it's a feeling, and just, our tagline happened to be a feeling like no other. So off the cuff, I was able to say we were able to create that feeling like no other for our employees and our customers. So anyway, just a really, really neat experience to be a part of.
Hey, Brandon, what it is, by the way, the drone show, we were able to watch it from my back pool deck. Mm-hmm. And, we had to, it's the same, we're far enough away that it was small, but with binoculars, you could see it beautifully. And it was amazing that they could control 500 drones in that way on that evening. It was just what technology has done is really, it blows my mind. But, for me, when I think about this, I think about the 25-year journey. And, you said COVID because we didn't even mention that, and what a challenging 2 years that was. And I talked about the casino industry here in coastal Mississippi. They were literally leaders in how to reconfigure the floor and how to think about, hand washing stations and all the things that you guys did. We're leaders. Casinos from all over the world were paying attention to what we were doing here. So that was very important. But I think about the 25 years of impact. What a great way for employees that have been there. You said 200, which is a very, very large number. You think about it, been there for 25 years, especially when you consider COVID and Katrina. But the thing is an opportunity, especially with newer employees, an opportunity to remind them the significance of this place, the history of this place, why what we do is so important, the opportunity to reconnect with all these partners in the community that have been part of it. That's good for business. It's good for business to remind people about this incredible investments that's been made in this community by the Beau Rivage, and that's something to celebrate. And that's got to feel good. Coming back to the point that you made about there's a feeling associated with that, but there really is, and I see it clearly. And people have responded well to this, haven't they?
Absolutely. And it really is hard to describe because, look, there's a lot of casinos around the country right now that are celebrating, because that was kind of the growth of gaming. Some of our sister properties in Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay is having their anniversary as well. And Borgata up in New Jersey just had their 20 years. So there's a lot of that. But there is something unique, I think, about this part of the country having gone through what we've gone through. Obviously Katrina being the big one, but BP oil spills, that was a big deal down here where other parts of the country, right? It really
the algae bloom from the Bonnie Carey Spillway,
And then as you kind of obviously the Great Recession's mixed in there as well, but you really kind of mentioned that COVID. People look to us within our company, but really the whole industry looked to the operators in Mississippi because, we had been used to closing casinos. Obviously we've closed many times for hurricanes or even up in Tunica for floods. And so, it was interesting because many properties, and I'll just take Las Vegas, they've never closed, right? They've been open for 20, 30 years in some cases, and there's never been a need to close. And it is a unique, if you've never done it, you don't even know where to start. And I don't know if we were fortunate or unfortunate. I don't know how you want to measure that, but we've gotten good about that at Coast, and it's a seamless experience. Great partners in the Gaming Commission have helped kind of devise plans to open and close casinos here because we deal with it almost annual basis, right? With some hurricane threat. So it really did look to Mississippi. We were the first property to open in MGM Resorts. After COVID, so obviously opening in that environment was unique as well. So it really just to me is symbolic of the resiliency of the people that live on the Gulf Coast. And I get to consider myself one, having been here for 23 years and being a part of a lot of these hurdles. But it really does speak to, I think, who we are as a community and who we are as operators and obviously this property. So
it's a great reminder. And people look back and they think 25 years. That seems like a long time, and in some ways it feels like it was yesterday. A lot has happened, but more recently, as you guys think about the room remodel program that you just went through and $100 million worth of capital projects that are on your list, again, it comes back to you got to be constantly figuring out how to make what you do better. And you guys continue to make huge investments in that property, don't you?
Yeah, this property, again, it's very unique, and we always describe it. It's a regional property, but it really is the destination property. There's just not enough people that live between New Orleans and Mobile and Pensacola to really support all of the casinos that, the sheer number and volume that we have. And so, with 1,750 hotel rooms, throughout the years, we've been creative and figured out ways to get people here from other parts of the country. And, you mentioned MGM Air. Also, some people call it a charter program, but it's basically we're the largest operator in the Gulfport Airport, and Clay Williams has been a great supporter of the program, and we fly 2 flights a day in and out of here every single day from 90 different markets all around the country, and it is complicated. It's very expensive. It was risky, much like you talked about the build of this property was risky. It was risky, and our company gave us the latitude to try something different, and it's evolved and grown over the years. But all these markets, again, even though if you're at some of the other properties and you're focused on getting loyalty out of a customer from Slidell or Hattiesburg or Mobile, that's great. We're focused a lot on the national business, but it's the story stays the same. The loyalty piece of that, whether you're in South Florida, I mean, we have customers from Detroit that come once a month. Just like, to think about being that far away, obviously giving them the opportunity to get on a plane and have a direct flight in here, all of that kind of plays into this. But it's definitely a game changer for not only the property, but for the coast. And, you can go to Ocean Springs tonight or today, or you can go across the street to Bobby Mahoney, right? Go to Mahoney's and ask Bobby. And there's going to be people there from Michigan or from Chicago or New York or Philadelphia or South Florida. And they're going to have gotten here via MGM Air. And so while it is a big thing for the property, it's also a big thing because people, they're here for 3 or 4 nights. They're not going to just stay within the walls of this building. We understand.
No, that's actually one of the benefits of this beautiful place we call coastal Mississippi. It's going to draw people to other cities. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with the Beau Rivage's Brandon Dardeau. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. I have Brandon Dardeau from the Beau Rivage with us today. We've been just talking about the history of the Beau, the significance of leadership here in coastal Mississippi, and on and on. Lots of good conversation today with Brandon. Hey, Brandon, when you mentioned this charter service that you developed, other casinos are doing some charter work, nothing to the level of the Beau Rivage. And what you guys have developed, as you pointed out, the number one customer for the Gulfport Biloxi International Airport. What's important about that is during the whole discussion about the impact of COVID on the airport, we've got a bunch of different parts of it. You got the business traveler, you got the families that go on vacation, you've got the military, which is a real big part of their flying. You've got tourism, obviously, this is still a big piece of that. But then you've got the charter service that you guys are involved in. And what that did for the airport is it created a very diversified revenue stream for them. And when you guys cranked that back up again, I think he said it was like 25% of his total revenue, some ridiculously high number like that, which tells me you're right, it's expensive. but it obviously pays off because you've really mastered it. But at the end of the day, the contribution that's made to helping keep a very viable airport here in the coast. Without it, it'd be interesting to see where they were. I bet they would not be where they are today as it relates to their strengths. But they've been a good partner for you, haven't they?
Absolutely. Look, they have. We use a company called Sun Country. In essence, we don't own the plane or operate it. That's outside of the scope of what we do, but we do get to direct where the plane flies each and every day. We basically have access to an asset and can fly anywhere we want to, right, for the whole day. And so it does, sometimes we get delays and sometimes these flights come in at 1 or 2 in the morning. And look, the airport is always, always, always willing to say yes. They kind of say yes, what's the question, kind of after the answer. So they've been great partners, and can't thank Clay and the team enough.
Yeah, he's been a good leader of the airport for sure. Hey, FollowNext is actually going to be hosting a collegiate invitational coming up. That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, so I get this question quite a bit. Rapiscan, if you're a golfer, we used to have a Champions Tour event here that was at Fallen Oak for many years, and its last year was at Grand Bear. And I happened to sit on that board the last year of it. With this position came a board seat in that. And as that went away, and quite frankly, it was Rapiscan. That event cost a lot of money. That event you needed to raise $4.5 million. And when Rapiscan pulled out, which was a California-based company, and so the fact that they were sponsoring at a multi-million-dollar level, there was still a lot of people on that board that wanted a live golf event on the coast. And so many on that board, we got together and kind of brainstormed some different ideas. And ultimately what we came up with is to host a collegiate event hosted by Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Southern Miss. So it's a really unique opportunity. For those of you that don't know, Ole Miss, I think right now is number 2 in the country. Mississippi State, I think, is 8 or 9. So these guys, these are elite programs. And so it was a way for us to keep golf on the Gulf Coast, much more economical way. And quite frankly, as a golfer, my whole career, my whole life pretty much, it's really neat to be on the front end of some of these collegiate kids. I mean, you saw it just recently in the Masters, right, where a collegiate kid made the cut and played with Tiger. These guys are really, really, really good. And so, it's a fun environment. These kids hit it a mile. And so we think it's unique, and we think it's something that can grow on the coast. And it's really special, I think, because it is hosted by the 3 state schools. And so we are going to be doing that again in October this year. We did it last year kind of as a preliminary trial. And we look forward to continuing to grow that and have live golf on the Gulf Coast out at Fallen Oak.
I think about your casino floor because at the end of the day, a lot of stuff is happening there. You've got to be constantly thinking about what goes on there, what kind of events need to happen there. The sports betting side of this has grown to be such a big part of what you guys are doing. How is all that going? And does that just occupy a lot of time thinking about how to make that a very competitive, customer-focused experience so that people want to come back again and again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the casino floor is very, very, obviously, it's where we make, the lion's share of our revenue. But the casino floor is supported by all the other areas. We try to, when we hammer this home, there is no department more important than another. Yes, the slot department makes the most revenue, but guess where they wouldn't make much revenue at all if we didn't have our 1,700 hotel rooms and, casino hosts and loyalty, MGM Rewards, our program desk, right? 95% of our play is signed up with a card. So each and every department plays a role in the success of this place. Obviously, having the right slot product, having the right vibe on the casino floor, and having friendly dealers, and all of that is a big, big, big piece of what we do. But we don't overestimate or over assign the importance of one department over another, if that makes sense.
Well, listen, we're running out of time, Brandon, but listen, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. I want to tell you to keep up the good leadership, not only there at the Beau Rivage, but in the community. And you really congratulations on all the success of the 25th anniversary enables us to sort of reflect about. And I look forward to keeping in touch. I mean, the truth is, Beau Rivage has such an important role here in coastal Mississippi and for Mississippi for that matter. And what happens there is important to everybody. So we'll stay tuned on that. So thank you for visiting with us today.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, Ricky. And yeah, look, from all of us here at the Beau, it is a special place. We're really proud to work here. And we appreciate you getting the word out and helping us do that. So thank you, Ricky.
You bet. You bet. This has been the Beau Rivage's Brandon Dardeau. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.